Oh, he told you that he's a cool parent?
Yeah.
Okay.
He said both Soha and I.
He said, I'm a cool parent. He must have felt obligated by society to say, and I'm like, no, we must do it now. And then she goes and complains to Kunal, Mama is making me do this now when I have 6 days to do it. And he'd be like, Soha, behave yourself. They didn't have formal educations. My mother didn't go to university. My father was playing cricket. Sometimes there may be a disconnect with who you're married. And they have a different value system. Thankfully, when it came to raising a girl child, we both were on the same page. Yeah. And even within our educated neighborhoods, there's still a preference for the son. When I was born, then I think my father was screaming in the corridors, we'll make him a fast bowler. And then said it's a girl. And at that point, there was not much in terms of cricketing potential for girls. Luckily, I really feel our relationship with the media has been respectful.
Yeah.
I do remember instances of when, for example, we took Inaya swimming and there was some paparazzi taking pictures and we requested them not to, and they didn't.
Hello everyone, welcome to News 18. I'm Titash Chaudhary in conversation with Soha Ali Khan. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, nice to see you.
Nice to
soon.
see you again. Yeah.
So, like I was telling you, Chhori has just released. Did you have a watch party yet at home with your child?
A watch party, is that what it's called? It's an adult film and she's just about digesting the visual of the hoarding right outside her bedroom window. Right. I don't think I want her to see me in quite such a monstrous look as yet.
You said that, this is exactly how I look at 8 p.m. every night, when I'm trying to put her to sleep.
And the monstrous look of Dasima, which you see just a jhalak of from time to time, that's how I feel at 8 o'clock when she hasn't gone to bed and I'm losing control of my faculties.
Oh, God. No, but we're going to come back to this. But Soha, it's been, 15 years, your association with PNG Shiksha.
Yes.
How has your understanding of, let's say, learning gaps evolved across these years?
I mean, I think that I know so much about education. I'm so passionate about it. But actually, the concept of a learning gap is new to me. The idea that a child, even a grade 5 child might struggle to read a grade 2 text is indicative of a learning gap. Right. That there might be something emotional. There might be something in terms of a schedule that takes them away from working, like a lot of children from underserved backgrounds feel that they need to also be part of the workforce and help their parents in work, for example, and they're not able to attend school. There may be various reasons as to why that child is being held back or is demotivated or losing focus and not able to answer certain questions.
Right.
Certain math sums like subtraction at the level that you're supposed to do, you're not able to do. Could be because of a learning gap. So I'm one of 28% of adults apparently do not know about the learning gap and now hopefully will know.
Wow.
And this is something that PNG Shiksha is actually trying to address. Such that, of course, 10, 15, 20 years ago, we knew that there was a problem with literacy and children were not going to schools. Schools didn't exist in numbers. Children had to walk miles and miles to go to a building where they could learn. Now that problem doesn't exist. PNG have worked through Shiksha with Roundtable India and other organizations and NGOs to address that problem successfully. But now the learning gap, something that you can't really see, but you can feel exists. And now they're trying to address that.
Right. So, even through Inaya's learning journey, what's your view on, let's say, meaningful education today? Because, it's so much more than just, flipping through the pages of a book or cramming up your notes.
Yes.
What do you have to say about that?
I think people now understand rote learning is not necessarily the way to learn.
Absolutely.
And also to benefit from learning. The idea is so much more meaningful in terms of what is education actually. Education is the ability to take out what already exists from within you. You have something that makes you unique, a skill, an art, a talent.
Right.
It is up to your schools, up to your home to help you identify that and then to help you hone those skills. And I think education is now understanding, okay, suppose this subject is not for you, you can focus on something else. You don't have to feel inadequate. There's something that you were meant to do. And more, I think the international education system is reflecting that it should be child-based learning, it should be child-led learning, it should be a play-based approach when it comes to especially primary years programs, such that children feel interested, engaged, excited about what they're doing.
Sure.
So if you make it fun for them, then they get more out of it. For example, my daughter's favorite subject is art because she says, I'm not actually learning. I can just relax. I can chill.
Yeah.
But she doesn't realize how much she's learning, even if it's just fine motor skills to actually color and balance, aesthetics, as well as art theory.
That's right.
You know, so it is really helping her to learn as well.
Right. So, of course, you and Kunal are cool parents. That's what Kunal
Thank you.
told me.
Oh, he told you that he's a cool parent?
Yeah.
Okay.
He said both Soha and I.
He said, I'm a cool parent. He must have felt obligated by society to say that I'm also a cool parent.
No, of course, he said, I am the cooler parent. But what I'm saying is that who between the two of you, or are you both those, that kind of parents who is after her that, you really need to study. You need to finish your homework.
I can say anything right now, right? Because, I mean, how do you know? But if you want me to be honest,
Yeah.
Inaya goes to a school where they don't really give a lot of homework right now.
Okay.
Which upsets me greatly because I love homework. And I basically had a child, so I could do homework. And she only gets homework on Fridays.
Yeah.
And she has all week to turn it in. But I, of course, at 4 o'clock on Friday will say, come on, Inaya, let's do homework. She's like, I have 6 more days to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to do it now. And I'm like, no, we must do it now. And then she goes and complains to Kunal. Mama is making me do this now when I have 6 days to do it. And he'd be like, Soha, behave yourself. I'd be like, okay, sorry.
So that's why he called himself the cooler parent.
Well, I mean, he can call himself whatever he wants. I could also say I'm like the best actor in the world.
But then who was, let's say, the stricter parent for you, your mom or your dad?
I think that my mother was strict. Neither of them were, I think, academically oriented. They cared very much that I do well in school and that I focus. And in fact, they wanted me to pursue tertiary education as well. But they were not the kinds of parents to get upset about a report card not being all A's. I was more upset about it. They were more like, you do what makes you happy, find what you're good at. They came from artistic backgrounds. They didn't have formal educations. My mother didn't go to university. My father was playing cricket. So it was a very unusual upbringing for me. And there was no pressure to succeed because they were super achievers.
Absolutely.
So I think they wore their fame and their success very lightly. And there was never any pressure as a child to match up to that, thank God. As a result, I could therefore feel free and explore, make mistakes, find, as I've said, my book is called The Perils of Being Moderately Famous. So find my way somewhere in the middle and not feel the pressure to be like number one.
That's correct. But like you said, they were not academically oriented. But, one would think that, they were because, everybody in the family, you went to, to London to pursue your higher education, be it Saif. I think you as well, Sarah for that matter. Was that always discussed at home that, hey, listen, once you grow up, this is what you need to do?
I think that they really allowed us to do what we wanted to do. And it's very tough as a parent to do that, not to put pressure on your child, either to live your dreams, fulfill your dreams, or, I think a lot of what our children do sometimes becomes a reflection on us. Like, for example, when you were discussing on stage that if the child gets a bad mark, sometimes the mother thinks it's a reflection on her parenting ability.
That's true.
So that my parents never felt like that, thankfully so. So I feel like my desire to follow academia and to do my master's, my undergraduate, came from Mrs. Uppal, who was my history teacher. And she ignited a passion in the subject for me and I wanted to study.
Right.
And it really didn't come from home, but there was a great sense of empowerment in terms of we were allowed to make our own choices and my parents were there to help us along the way. Also to pick us up when we fell down, but they weren't always going to hold our hands along the way. They wanted us, they said, we're investing in your education such that you have the tools to make choices. Now, if I'm going to give you the tools, but I'm going to make those choices for you, that defeats the purpose of what we're trying to achieve with you.
Yeah. The other thing, Soha, is, having a gender agnostic approach when you are, bringing up a child, and which I think you have really achieved. Because, on one hand, we see, these pictures that you keep sharing of her, playing with a doll, but then she's also, playing with a ball sometimes.
Yeah.
She has her classes, right?
Yes.
And, how important is that? Was that something you and Kunal discussed really early on?
I think that, both sides, the family that I'm married into and my family, there are girls abound, Kunal has a sister, I have a sister, and they're all strong women on both sides of the family. And so sometimes there may be a disconnect with who you're married, and they have a different value system. Thankfully, when it came to raising a girl child, we both were on the same page, which really makes a huge difference in that there really is no distinction when it comes to what she would like to do and how we will help her to support and empower her in terms of her dreams, the things that she is capable of. We want her to be physically strong. You know, often we want our girls to be good and our boys to be strong.
Right.
But we want her to be physically strong such that she doesn't feel that she needs someone else to protect her. Even to the point if someone pushes you in school or someone makes you feel unsafe, you should feel like I have the strength to fight back. Even though we may be physically the inferior sex, and that's why I think we become soft targets in so many ways, the idea is to be mentally strong as well. And I think this generation perhaps certainly in cities like Mumbai, Delhi, where we have those skills, where I can see from her she doesn't feel if I told her, you know, there's a preference for sons, she would be like flabbergasted. She'd be like, I don't understand why.
Yeah.
Like, what is it that, you know, all the time it's like, what is it that a man can do that we can't do? Girls and boys are the same. There's no pink and blue. There's no distinction. But if you like pink, great. So I think we're becoming very aware of these things. We're becoming very aware of the fact that we don't use labels, you know, not to call something girly, not to call something boyish.
Yeah.
You know, so we are raising our children in a sort of neutral fashion, but yet the world is not there. All of India is not in the 21st century, and there's still a lot of work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And even within our educated neighborhoods, there's still a preference for the son. There's still a sense that your family legacy stops with daughters.
That's correct.
And I'm saying also that some people still view women as a burden. They still see, like, and that's what actually the film is also about, Chori 2. All these social practices that are quite heinous are still actually being committed. From female feticide, sex selection, female infanticide, dowry, you know, women are still soft targets.
Yeah. But, you know, on a lighter note, I'm just curious, did you go to a cricket training class or something when you were growing up?
It was, I did not go to a cricket, but I'm really good. My
Really?
hand-eye coordination is excellent. I am a good fielder, but I've never really trained in batting or bowling. When I was born, then I think my father was screaming in the corridors, we'll make him a fast bowler, and then said it's a girl. And at that point, there was not much in terms of cricketing potential for girls. Today, it's a
women,
different story.
yeah.
So perhaps they would have invested in me as a bowler then. I do enjoy sports. Even today, but more racket sports. I play badminton aggressively. And I enjoy it. All of us, we like being fit and you like, you know, we want to be independent. And so much independence comes from being physically strong and not having to physically lean on anyone else.
Right. But do you remember visiting your dad on a, you know, at a cricket practice session maybe?
No, because he'd retired by the time I was born. You know, I was born in 1978.
Oh, right. That's correct.
And
That's
so
correct.
he was sort of at home and my mother was the one going out and working. But of course I was aware, and lots of people told me, especially when he passed away, is when everybody reached out to me with incredible stories of how much he had achieved. And now I'm aware, but I did watch him play one father-son cricket match with like a bunch of 13-year-olds where he was like 350 not out. And at some point, somebody was saying, I think you should get out because you're playing with children. And he was like, no, I'm going to keep playing 6 after 6 after 6. So yeah, he was competitive.
Okay, you know, before I let you go, do you think parenting, Soha, has also become challenging because of social media today?
Absolutely, it has. You know, we're navigating a whole different world.
Yeah.
Where at some point, you know, you felt, okay, your children are safe when they come home and they're in their bedrooms and, you know, whatever, they're safe. Now, they may be physically with you, but through the internet and through social media, they're connected to a much, and that world can also connect and reach them.
Yeah.
So there are predators all over the world who are actually preying on impressionable minds. And you think they're safe and they're not, which is why it is very important to be vigilant, very important to be involved in your children's lives, to know what is happening on a day-to-day basis, what is affecting them emotionally, are they experiencing anything that makes them uncomfortable at school, physically or emotionally or in any other environment, and try and identify that before it spirals and be a source of support and love for them, which I feel is tough. There's a lot of validation that's coming from outside because of social media, this sense of followers. I am not an impressionable mind, I think, but I'm still affected by it.
I'm sure.
You know, like how many likes has my picture got? What are these comments? It's still, I'm thick-skinned, but it still weighs on me. And I think if you're younger and if you are affected by that, then it must be so much more disturbing. These are things that we didn't have to think about at all.
Yeah. I
Earlier.
thought, yeah. And this reminds me of this show called Adolescent, the
Yes.
thing that you're talking about. But when the perils, if we sit down to list them, there are so many because see, like you said, you cannot control what your child is really accessing, on social media. The other thing is the kind of exposure that they are under. The pap culture comes into the whole thing. I remember recently, Ranbir and Alia said that, we want to protect Raha from all of that. Did you ever have to sit and think about something similar?
I mean, of course we do. And luckily, I really feel our relationship with the media has been respectful.
Yeah.
I do remember instances of when, for example, we took Inaya swimming and there was some paparazzi taking pictures and we requested them not to and they didn't. So I think now you've seen that if parents request the media not to take pictures of their children, they don't. So I do think that exists. Perhaps in Hollywood, that doesn't exist. So we haven't got to that stage as yet. We have chosen to be public figures. Our children have not. And therefore, I feel that they should not be affected by it. But also, it's part and parcel of life. We can't fight against it. It's more practical to accept it and to have that conversation with your child. To say there's an interest in you. These strange people are taking your pictures.
Yeah.
Because of this, it should not upset you. It should not worry you. This is because of this reason. If you're uncomfortable, then let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. I think there's a place to have that conversation.
Absolutely. And on that note, Soha, thank you so much for this chat. I, of course, look forward to what you do next because we do miss watching you on the big screen and on the small screen as well.
I hope to be around a lot more.
Yes.
And I think now on the big screen. And definitely, I do want to just speak very briefly about why we're here today, which is about the PNG Shiksha event. I think these things are where we can really make a difference. And they've been doing it for 20 years, as you know. What's wonderful is that they even have books like this, which I just want to draw attention to, which is called 20 Tales of Triumph, where you can actually record the effect that this initiative has had on people's lives. You can actually measure the fact that now, because we were talking about the learning gap, is reducing.
Yeah.
And now children are able to actually get the most out of their education. There are references to women here who, at the age of 43, like there's a Lata Tai who was on stage with us. At the age of 43, she's now, taken the initiative through PNG Shiksha to complete her 10th standard, which is something she was unable to do because she got married earlier when she was in grade 6. So there's wonderful changes that actually people who are viewing this right now perhaps don't even know that they are helping, because I want to thank them for choosing, whether it's Gillette, Whisper, Tide, so many PNG products exist. They've chosen those products, and as a result of that, they're helping to actually erase this learning gap.
Lovely, lovely. That's, kudos to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is so empowering, for everybody. And see you soon, Soha.
Yes.
Congratulations on
Yes.
being a part of this.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Hi, this is Sohali Khan, and you're watching me on News 18.